Good afternoon, folks. Here we are again. I'm Father Coleman, pastor here at St. Mary's. If you haven't gotten to know me by now, you'll get to know me through all of these videos, whether you like it or not. So anyway, many of you know, as I've mentioned at times in my former life before being a priest, I was a mechanical engineer, which entailed process flow, design, and development. And part of that's ongoing, right? So one of the things, best engineering is done in iteration. So we're adding some things to our process and what happens at Mass this weekend. And as we've been able to tweak certain things and take a look at what's happening, then we can make more things available to make it a little bit more normal for coming to Mass. Past couple weekends we haven't allowed, just because we haven't been able to, with the manpower what we have, to be able to allow people to go to the bathroom. But this weekend, folks will be able to go to the bathroom, right? If you need to, after Mass begins, we have to allow time for the ushers to get everyone into their parking spaces and folks to be able to focus on Mass beginning. Once Mass begins, right, so as they say, you know, that plane is taken off and the wheels are up, right, and so at that point in time we can then start moving about the cabin as to use that airline lingo. All right, so at that time, once Mass has begun, if someone needs to use the restroom, one person at a time, okay, to go to the bathroom, and or if it's a child 12 years or under, the child with their parent, right? It must be the child with their parent, not an older sibling. Right? And so, so the child with their parent, if they need to use the restroom, can go in, the usher will allow you in, right, to use the restroom and come back out. That window for that time is, again, after the beginning and start of Mass up until the end of the homily. Right, up until the end of the homily, you'll have that window to be able to go to the bathroom, right, and then get back to the car. After that, because there'll be a transition time, one for the most important part of the Mass, which is the liturgy of the Eucharist, so we can focus on why we are all really here when Jesus is going to be made present on the altar and focus. And it also allows the ushers to kind of gear up and refocus for that time for Holy Communion. Right? And so that window from after the beginning of Mass until after the end of the homily will be that time where folks can go to the bathroom. Okay. So after that, then also this week, I know it's been a little bit difficult for some families that have small children. Right. If you are a family with a small child and the child can't really be left alone in the car, okay, and you need to bring the child with you, we're making the exception, right, that a parent can bring that small child in with them to Holy Communion with the caveat. They have to be able to keep a mask on while they come up. If the child's resistant to that sort of thing, then we'll have, we just ask that you find another way to be able to spend time with that child, maybe stagger things between one parent and the other for coming for communion, right? But if you're able to, and the child will allow and come in with the mask on, then you can bring the child with you to come forward for Holy Communion. What we are still saying is, right, at this time, coming out of the car for communion is just for communion. We're not giving out blessings to folks. So if you're not going to receive Holy Communion, with the exception of a small child coming with a parent, all right, you stay in the car. Right? You stay in the car. So that's, again, that reiteration and caveat. Now, when it's time for Holy Communion to help with the process flow, right, a new addition that we have this week, you notice 3 cones here. Right? You can't really see them too much, but you can tell when you get up close, little blinking lights on top, okay? And so the usher in the parking lot will be calling people out of their vehicles to come up and stage at these 3 cones, okay? The ushers are going to be wearing these handy-dandy neon yellow reflective vests, okay? We're asking everyone, I'm asking everyone, please do everything that they are asking you to do, okay? We're still calling people out of the car 3 at a time, and this might be a mix and match scenario where there might be 2 people out of one car and 1 out of another, and there might be a few folks still in the car. I know we like to come up to communion together as families and as couples. Unfortunately, this isn't that time where we can maintain that. Unless there is a serious reason, we're asking you, at times you might have to split up. Right? Please just listen to what the ushers are doing. This will help with everybody's overall experience for receiving Holy Communion. Right? And so I really think that if we have the staging lane, now where the first person comes up and stands at the first cone, second person, second cone, third person at the last cone. Right? We have the usher at the doors. We've had this past Sunday. Right? He's got a walkie-talkie listening to the usher on the inside. Right? The time that we've got set up, right? That usher inside is going to radio to this usher out here, and this usher, he or she, right, will open the door and signal the next 3 people to come in. And you notice these are all social distance, so please maintain that social distancing as you come in. You probably noticed this past weekend, if this is your first time, right, there are blue lines on the floor that are spaced 6 feet apart, right? That's to help us maintain that social distancing as we're walking forward to communion. And again, as last weekend, we've got 3 communion lanes, and the first person in will take the first lane, second person middle lane, third person will take the far lane. Again, there's baskets there. If people would like to make an offering at that time, drop your offertory into the basket, and then sanitize your hands at the beginning of the lane, and then come forward for communion. Again, remember folks, your masks are on the entire time with the exception of reception of Holy Communion, right? And so your mask is on. You take your mask down far enough, right, so for you to be able to receive communion, again, either in the hand or on the tongue. Okay, and there's still the option for standing or kneeling. And so then after receiving Holy Communion, you'll place your mask back on and exit out the right side door and down the sidewalk with your mask on all the way to the car. Okay, folks? So these are a few of the things that are changing or being added, right, to what we can do, a little more freedom this weekend. Hopefully this increases people's mass pleasure, right? The peace that we have, and then hopefully even the joy of being able to receive Jesus in Holy Communion as we attend the holy sacrifice of the Mass. So until next time, folks, I'm Father Coleman. God bless you, and take care.